Okay, rolling. 5, 4.
This is the video for Lesson 9, Section 4. And Section 4 is the homework assignment. And this particular demonstration is going to be for the homework assignment for interior designers and graphic designers. And you're designing from floor plans and elevations. I've got the floor plan in front of me here, and several students have asked as we've gone through this demonstration in class or this homework exercise, they've asked for a demonstration of this drawing. And what I want to show you is how you can quickly lay out this drawing. Now, some of you may prefer to use measuring lines, cubes, or squares, expanding the square. But in this demonstration, I want to rely more on my sense of scale, my sense of proportion, to lay out the basic drawing. I'm only going to lay it out. I'm not going to render it. But I want to give you one demonstration on what I think is really the best way to be constructing drawings. And because bottom line results in today's marketplace are so important, you have to be efficient with your drawing. So this is going to be a very quick layout. And I hope that you can use some of these techniques as you complete this homework assignment. So the first thing I want to do is kind of choose my perspective layout. You can see a kitchen, kind of an L-shaped kitchen. This is a bank of oven, microwave, warming drawer. Down here is a refrigerator. We have an island with a small little bar kind of raised up for eating, and then a cooktop. And so as I look at this drawing, and I really want to try and communicate to who's ever going to be looking at this drawing kind of an idea or concept of the whole room, I think what I want to do is to view my drawing from about this angle. And this angle would show the island, it would show the cooktop, the range, these windows, a little bit of the refrigerator, and I think best communicate the idea of this whole drawing. So now as I begin to lay it out, I'm going to start, as I do all my drawings, with a horizon line and vanishing points. And I'll locate the right and left vanishing point, and then start with the back corner of the room. Now the back corner of the room is going to be a measuring line. In the back corner, looking at it right here, I can see that my kitchen is slightly longer along this wall. So I'm going to move my vanishing point, or the rear corner of the room slightly to the left so I can focus just a little bit more on this long section of the kitchen. So I'm going to start my rear corner of the wall, and I'm going to scale this wall off. And as we've talked about in previous lessons, we want to make this horizon line about 5 feet above the ground. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's put in a 9-foot ceiling. Now you can see I've started this rear corner of the room about 1, 2, 3, 4, about 20% of the overall height of this page. And that's kind of a good rule of thumb to use as you're laying out a drawing so it doesn't get too big on your page. All right, I'm going to start the right wall from the left vanishing point, and then the left wall from the right vanishing point. So I now have the corner of the room. And the next thing I want to do is to use my sense of scale and proportion to lay out a floor plan in perspective of this room. So I'll start by just kind of laying in the basic cabinetry, and I can see 2 feet high right at this point. So I'm going to try and estimate kind of a square, 2 feet wide, 2 feet deep for these countertops, and put it in place. And now I'll look using my eye kind of at this corner. The oven is off at the end of this row. I'm just going to lay out briefly kind of the oven rack. And then I've got the rest of this island. And now I want the rest of this countertop, this L-shaped counter. And now I'm going to start to lay out the island. And I can see the island here is kind of aligned with the edge of the oven. So I'm just going to bring out the edge of the island. And it is also going to be about 4 feet away from the countertop or away from the oven. I can see it's about twice the distance as the countertop is deep. So I'll estimate that 4 feet, and that'll be about here. In the same way, we're going to have 4 feet between the countertop and the island on this side. I'm going to estimate that 4 feet. And now the overall proportion of the cabinet, or the island, is about twice as long, a little bit less, than it is deep. So I'm just going to add in the island. And now I can look at the location of the refrigerator and see the refrigerator kind of overlaps the island slightly. So I can lay in approximately where that refrigerator is going to be, here and here. And now I've got a footprint of the island, of the room, and I want to adjust this. Take a look now and balance it against the floor plan drawing, and I'm going to make my island just a little bit narrower, and then lay in the outline of this little eating bar here. And I'm going to just narrow up the island slightly. All right, so now I've got a floor plan layout. And what I want to do now is simply lift the floor plan up off the ground. Well, I know countertops in this island are all going to be about 3 feet above the ground. So 1, 2, 3 is located right here. I'm going to strike a light guideline across the back wall in both directions. I can now bring up my countertop to that 3-foot height, bring up the side of the counter, and now I can look at this once again. Am I about right? Do those proportions look right? I'm going to make this island, this countertop, just a little bit narrower. And this perspective technique is all about using your sense of scale, your sense of proportion to lay out this room and constantly make the adjustments that you need to make this drawing look believable, not perfectly accurate. All right, so I can lay in the top of the counter in both directions. And now let's take the island and figure out where 3 feet is above the top of the island. Okay, from the base of the cabinet to the front edge of the island, I will draw a guideline, run that guideline up, project the cabinet over to the point, and that represents the top of the island. Let's run the island now up off the floor. Here's the height of my island. And let's add the side of the island. And we're going to bring up pretty quickly here the eating bar. Let's get the rear of the island in. And now the eating bar. I'm going to bring that up right off the ground. It's going to go back and overlap. As you can see, the body of the island, this little eating bar, is raised up and it interlocks with the main part of the island. You will lift it up, and you can refer to elevations, which I'm not showing in this drawing now, to kind of take a look at how all this is working. And I know I'm getting a lot of lines in here, and I hope this becomes pretty clear as we continue with the layout, and I will start to heavy up a few of the lines. All right, the eating bar has got a knee well in it, so I'll just make this a little darker line. And the knee well has got some depth. And now the island has a toe kick on it, so I'm going to add the toe kick. Again, everything is being estimated by eye. Heights are all projected from the rear corner of the room. I'll just tighten up a few of these island lines. And there is some thickness to the countertop, which we'll put in. And there we have the basic island. Now let's project up the refrigerator. And that refrigerator is going almost to the ceiling, just about a foot back. So I'll lift up this side, bring the refrigerator out. And you can see from the viewpoint it appears to be a little bit higher than the ceiling, which is fine. There's going to be a toe kick on the counter space, the corner of the room, the top of the ceiling. And we will run that same height mark for the bank of appliances in this oven. And as I said, that would represent the oven, the microwave, and the warming drawer. And I'm not going to put in all that detail. I just want to show you how you can block out this drawing. All right, so I've got the refrigerator and I've got the oven bank. Now let's figure out the overhead cabinets above this part of the kitchen, this part of the countertop. You can see the dotted line representing the overhead cabinets. And those overhead cabinets are a little bit lower than the height of the refrigerator or the oven bank. So I'm just going to kind of lightly lay out here in side view. You can see the cabinet, the lower cabinet here. This represents the upper cabinets. Looking at it from the side, I will now project that line over to the corner. And there are storage cabinets below. And then there is a light bar or a soffit that kind of projects out in this direction. I'll add that in lightly, and it has a little bit of depth. And there are lights underneath. I will just kind of indicate about where those lights go. And now I'll add a few more heavy lines just to kind of finish up this basic layout. Now, I'm doing this in pen, so it's easier to see on the video. And I would suspect that most of you will prefer laying this out using pencil so you can erase some of the lines as you're going along. This does get just a little bit confusing, as you can see here. This is the back end of the island. There is a kick space down here. You're not going to see much of the footprint. And now the last part of this is there is a cooktop in the center of the island. And I will just indicate that on my drawing. And let's say that we wanted to put a vent hood above this cooktop. All right, let's project up. And I know that vent hood is going to be about 6 feet above the ground. Going back to the corner of the room, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 feet. It's going to be about the bottom of this soffit. And I can take the front edge down to the floor, over to the back wall, up to the ceiling, projected from the top of the ceiling or the corner of the wall in the ceiling, projected out, and I know that's going to be where my cooktop ends. about 6 feet high is going to be right about in this area. So let's just make my vent hood. And I'm covering up part of my soffit. And now the center is going to be located right about here. There's the center of the cooktop on the island. Raise that up to the ceiling. And when I get it up to the ceiling, I'm going to draw just a rectilinear shape. We'll drop that shape down from the ceiling. And now what I want to do is connect the hood to the chimney. And there I have my basic kitchen layout. I'll go over some of these lines just a little bit heavier so you can see what I've done. This has taken about 15 minutes to lay out. Students generally take a little bit more time than that to lay out their drawings initially. But as you gain more and more experience and you continue to practice, these layouts get really quickly. I find in school that students are generally using more time to lay out their drawings than they are to render them with grayscale marker. All right, so I'm not going to add any more to this drawing. You can see the island, the little raised eating bar, the large block where I would detail out the refrigerator and a little overhead shelf. You can see the L-shaped cabinets, and then this bank, this block, represents some overhead cabinets, an oven, a microwave, and a warming drawer. Once you've got this done, it's fairly easy to add maybe a little bit of floor tiling, and I'm just going to estimate that rather than laying it out exactly. And then coming from this end, I can kind of finish the floor tile. And now I'm ready to do an overlay, and then I can detail all the fine detail on here and then render it. And this whole drawing should be able to be completed in, well, I would try and complete it in about an hour or an hour and a half's time. I'm sure that most students will take a little bit more time with this project. That's it.
It'd be fun.